So, welcome to part 2 of the Show Me Tell Me questions. And in this second part we're going to look at the Tell Me questions. So 19 questions, but you're only going to get asked 2 of them. And this time we're going to look at all the Tell Me's. So you might be asked to check headlights and taillights, some things under the bonnet, a couple of controls, 2 questions about tyres, and some systems. So fairly straightforward stuff, but very useful knowledge if you want the car to keep running safely and reliably. So that's what we're on with. So part 2, Tell Me. And if you don't look after your car, then there you are from the journey. At some point you may need to pick this up and tell somebody all about it. My car's broken down, help. So, worth looking after these things, isn't it? So let's start with the first one. Okay, the examiner may ask you to tell me how you would check the headlights and tail lights are working. So all you need to say is, I would switch them on, walk around the car and check they are working. Yeah, without these you won't be see or be seen. Yeah, so literally turn them on, walk around the car, and then you know they're working, don't you? It is worth pointing out this is a tell me, so you don't actually need to do this, just explain what you would do. So, tell me how you would check the brakes are working. I would test them as I set off. They shouldn't feel spongy or slack, and the car shouldn't pull to one side. They should feel normal. Without these, you won't stop. Yeah. So what's normal for some of these systems? That's the thing, isn't it? So, tell me how you would check the head restraint is correctly adjusted. So, close to the top of your head and as high as the top of your head. Because if it's in the right place, you won't suffer as much pain. So, get this sorted before you drive off. Make sure your passengers are sorted as well. And we'll all be happy. So, explain how you would check the power assisted steering is working. So the light on the dashboard should go out when you start the engine, and the steering shouldn't feel heavy, it should feel normal. A little pull on the steering wheel should have an effect, shouldn't it? So, useful system. Tell me how you would know if there was a problem with the ABS. Again, the warning light should go out when you start the engine, so if the light on the dashboard came up, illuminated, there'd be a fault. And without this, yeah, you might catch your skid if you brake too hard. Yeah, so it is again a useful system. Okay, now we're on to 2 questions about tyres. Very, very useful things, tyres. They allow you to accelerate, brake and steer, and at the bottom of the groove there's a tread wear indicator. Okay, so 1.6mm above the bottom of the groove. So 2 questions. First one is about the tread and the condition. Okay, so is it a safe tyre to use? So it's got to have a minimum of 1.6mm across the central 3/4 breadth of the tyre and all around the circumference. No cuts, bulges or pedals. And again, without good tread you won't stop, especially on a wet day. So the very important thing is that bit of rubber that holds us on the road. Yeah, why do we want tread? Because if you have a good groove, you get rid of the water on a wet day, so the tyre can actually get on the road and it grips. And legally, you must have at least 1.6mm of tread depth. So tyres do wear down over time, and when the tyre is in the same level as the bottom of the tread wear indicator, then it's worn down to the legal minimum. Yeah. So well worth changing a little bit before that, because the performance of the tyre does drop off, especially after 2mm. So there's a tyre, tread wear indicators in the grooves, and you've got to have 1.6mm as a minimum across the central 3/4 breadth of the tyre. You're allowed a bit of wear on the edges, you know, all the way around the tyre, no bald spots. So tell me how you would check. Second question, pressures. Where would you get the information? So use a reliable gauge, check them when they're cold. Refit the caps, and where's the information? Well, it's on the fuel filler cap. Flat. yeah, without good pressures you'll spend more on fuel and tyres. So that's a little information panel on the fuel filler flap, or it's in your manual. So let's have a look under the bonnet. Nice Easter bonnet there. And there's only 4 questions under here, so you're only going to get asked one of them. Don't touch anything at this point, yeah, because it's probably hot, might be oily, and don't want any accidents. Yeah. So when you open the bonnet, hey, that's what the engine looks like. So to start with, we need to open the bonnet. So there's a lever inside the car on the passenger side and the footwell, so you pull that, and then there's another safety catch just at the front here, just to the left of the badge. That's what it looks like. You give that a little pull with your fingers and that moves the hook out of the way so you can lift the bonnet up here. So 2 little ways of releasing it there. Okay, lift it up, it's quite heavy, so make sure you don't got a good grip rather, and then unclip the support arm and it swings up and goes into a hole on the underside of the bonnet. Just into there, look. So now you've got one of these 4 questions, and again, do not touch the hot oily engine. So brake fluid, engine coolant, windscreen washer fluid, surprisingly important actually, and the engine oil. So 4 things that the examiner might ask you about. So they'll say something like, open the bonnet, identify where the brake fluid is and the reservoir is, and how would you check it? Yeah. So that's it over there, point at it. Okay, and then yeah, the level should be between the maximum minimum markings. Yeah, because without this stuff you won't stop. So there's some markings on the side of the reservoir, yeah. So it allows you to check it. So open the bonnet, identify where to check the engine coolant, and how would you know it? Stuff. So that's the big thing there, and nice pink fluid inside it, and again it's got some markings on the side of the container, yeah. And it does change a bit as the engine gets warm, and without that, yeah, the engine will overheat, it'll melt, yeah, well, sort of, but yeah, important stuff. Okay, number 3, so where's the windscreen washer reservoir, and how would you check the level? Well, it's that blue capped one on the Yeti, and you basically just fill it up to the top, yeah? The actual container's lower down, yeah. So yeah, you won't be able to see where you're going on a sort of November, December day. So there's some screen wash, you just buy that in a supermarket or a garage and dilute it and fill the thing up, yeah? And the last question is the engine oil. So how would we check that? Well, there's the dipstick. Okay, I'd pull it out, give it a wipe so it's clean, put it back in again, and then pull it out to see where the oil has reached on it. Yeah? Is it between the maximum and minimum markers? So again, do it when the engine's cold on the level surface, yeah? And without this, the engine will actually grind to a halt. And that's what a dipstick looks like when you pull it out. So it's got a notch at the bottom, notch there. So minimum, maximum. The level of oil needs to be somewhere between those 2. And too much oil is as bad as too little. So don't just add more just because it might be good for it. It isn't. Yeah. But again, don't take this out on your test. Yeah. Checking these 4 is pretty vital to keep the car running safely. Yeah. And keep it running actually. You are allowed to touch these obviously, but only when the engine's cold. Yeah. Check your manual and find out how to top up these fluids correctly. Yeah. Brake fluid and engine coolant, there is a little bit of technical knowledge to know about this, so don't start fiddling with it unless you've found out what you need to know, but the levels need checking here. Windscreen washer is pretty easy, do that quite a lot in the winter, and oil is quite easy, it just needs a little extra topping up in between a service. Check your manual or get some advice if you don't know what you're doing. Okay, then we're going to pop the bonnet back down, so reverse the procedure, hold it up with your left hand, put the arm back down with your right, and drop it from about 10 centimetres up. Just a nice clunk when it goes down. Not too high, not too low. So there we are, that's all the ones they're going to ask you. Yeah, some lights, some things under the bonnet, brakes and head restraint, a couple of questions about tyres, and power assisted steering and the ABS. Okay, so that's the tell me's, and then there's a few show me's in part 1, isn't there? Yeah, so all these things are good things to keep the car legal, safe, reliable, and to save yourself some money from repairs and things. Oh yes, don't forget the flowers. So before we set off, have you got the flowers? Okay, so fuel. Yeah, where are you going to fill up if you haven't got enough? Service areas are okay, but a bit costly. Check all the lights are working and clean. Have you got enough oil? Water for the engine coolant and windscreen washer, obviously with not just water in it. All the electrical systems working? Are the tyres in good nick? And what about yourself? Are you fit to drive, yeah? So am I tired, poorly? I'm not under the influence or anything. So just a way of remembering a little checklist of things to sort out before you set off, yeah? Especially on a longer journey. Okay, but yeah, we don't need to do everything every day, but do need to check these things quite regularly. Yeah? At least sort of once a week, once a month maybe, somewhere between the two. But especially if you're off on a longer journey. So, don't forget the flowers, and yeah, don't forget if you're driving a car, you are legally responsible for it, even if it's a works car. Yeah? Or if you drive somebody else's car. Yeah, you're the driver, so if your tyres are wrong, you get 3 points a tyre and a fine. Yay! Not the driver, not the owner, sorry. It's the driver who's responsible. Yeah. So we want more fun, we want to be legal, we want to be safe, and reliability, and yeah, save some money. So it's worth checking all these things out, isn't it? Okay, well, any questions to ask on your next lesson with me, and we'll go through any switches and have a look under the bonnet and all the rest of it, yeah? Just so we're happy for the test, but also so you know. And check your manual. Okay, so catch you later. Bye.